Should be, yeah. I've got red.
Yes. I know it. I know. I know.
All right, at 7 o'clock, we'll go ahead and start the meeting tonight. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to, where'd it go? The adoption of agenda. I left our special meeting minutes off the agenda, so we need to add that in the regular meeting minutes of September the 9th, and then we've got special meeting on September the 16th and special meeting on 10/1. Those minutes as well. If that's okay with everyone. Okay. Any other agenda additions or deletions? Anyone? Okay. We'll have the agenda stand approved as amended. And we'll move on to our consent agenda, which consists of our regular meeting minutes of September 9th, September 16th for special, and 10/1 for special, and our monthly bills, the amount of $237,671.59, and our treasurer's report.
I move to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the regular meeting minutes of September 9th, 2024, the special meeting minutes of September 16th, 2024, the special meeting minutes of October 1st, 2024, and the township payroll and monthly bills in the amount $237,671.59, and acknowledge the treasurer's report.
Support. We have a motion of support to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? None? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to the report section, Chief Smith, North Fire Department.
I'm pretty sure you all have copies of my report because I was late, so I made the copies. As you can see, MFR runs continue to hover right around 40. Fire runs were up again this month to 20. I included a cadet program portion of that in there, which you'll see more of probably next month. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try.
Fill them in on how many you fed Saturday or Sunday. Fill them in on how many you fed Sunday.
Right around between 1,000 and 1,100. Yeah, I'll have all the details, how many pounds of pancake mix that for you on the next month's.
That's just, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You ran through there in about 4 hours, and you said they started lining up at 7:30, right?
7:30, we had 69 in line.
Yeah. So.
You guys did an amazing job. You saw me in my crowd trailing behind me.
Good.
And I had 5 little grandchildren, so that everybody loved everything. And I appreciated the firemen were so nice. They were so attentive, and they were going up to the kids and explaining different things on the fire trucks and showing them the tools. And I thought that was really great. So please pass that on.
Everybody that shows up, we really do.
Yeah.
It's the guys have a lot of fun doing that, believe it or not. You're dead, and now the place stinks like pancakes for a month. Sticking like pancakes, yeah, right every winter. Yeah.
Anything else for the chief?
I think those scouts too did an excellent job out there.
All
I
the
mean,
Boy Scouts all
those,
over
they were combing that place, looking for stuff to throw away. I mean, yeah, they did an excellent job there.
And we have several citizens. One that comes to mind is a tall gentleman. He always dresses really nice. We got him as just constant pancake breakfast help after his horse farm burned down. And it's been 10 years. He's right there every time. So it just works out neat. It's a good.
Anything else for chief?
Don, could you give us a quick overview of our visit that we went to Frankenmuth there on what we, Don and Gary and I went to Frankenmuth there for this emergency thing.
Yeah, so it's a program, Dick Stein and I used to attend it, and we kind of slacked off, so Randy and Gary and I went there. And it's basically an overview of emergency services, how to retain people, some of the problems with the current systems. We had the fire marshal giving us trouble about, the fire marshal giving us trouble about the way we're doing our reporting and how we should be better at that. We had a really interesting presentation on small lithium batteries. And that was interesting in that just a few days later, we had a lithium battery fire north of town that burned the business right out of business. And then it just worked out really well. So it's good information. Just for all you folks that are buying your kids' e-bikes, the average e-bike, you put an e-bike in an apartment, the average size apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. In 18 seconds, that e-bike, if the battery explodes, will fully involve that unit. So just 18 seconds.
They had videos of it that day. It was unreal on how quick it like exploded.
Right. Yeah, when those pagers went off overseas there, I didn't believe they were explosive. I thought they figured out how to overheat the lithium battery because it's an explosive too. So be careful, all of you. I know you folks are always into that stuff. If your computer's getting really hot when you're charging it, time to figure out why. Or it might burn your house down.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about the fire cadet program?
Yeah, we're interested in doing that. We have 2 that are interested now. One I've been dragging along with us. It gives young people something else they can do.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things in there we'll probably change. I'm not going to charge anybody who wants to be a firefighter. You're already given enough. That's in there. And we're probably going to change the age from 14 to 16 because they should be able to drive a vehicle to get to the fire hall. And that there's a provision in there. The actual one is, it's 1/4 inch thick, and you'll see that next month after I get through it all. There's a provision in there that says a young cadet can't respond before 3:30 in the afternoon, but I'm also going to limit how late they can stay at night. Because a lot of times, last night we had a simple gas leak. We responded at 9 p.m. We got home at midnight. So it's just that kind of thing. It just goes on forever sometimes. So you'll see it. I'm kind of anxious to see that work.
I thought it was a good idea. Great. I did too.
Yeah, they're younger. They can jump up and things.
All right, thanks, Chief. There is no police report this month. They are switching over to a different reporting style. It's going to come from their actual, county program. And I haven't seen it yet, but they said they'd have it ready for our November meeting. So
What's the incident report then?
That I put in, that is something that Lapeer EMS has just started by sending us. It's old, it's August.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask to see if that's something you would like to have on a monthly basis when it comes in. It's got the whole county on the number of runs that they've done, not just Delmont's runs. So if it's something that you want to see, I certainly can include that. Probably I'll email it to you when it comes. It's because it comes at any time. So
Email's fine.
but I'll do that from now on
It was interesting.
for another month. Now, this is our first public comment. Anyone in the audience wish to be recognized at this time? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Katie Roteris. I wanted to simply come by, say hello, give a quick introduction. I am running for a 2-year school term on the School Board of Education here in the Elmont District. I have 2 younger children in the district, which has really weighed on my heart these last couple years as to why I feel I am being called to step up and hopefully do my duty and serve on the board. Looking forward to any questions. I have a campaign Facebook page, but I'm also trying to keep it simple, back to the basics, meeting people for coffee, face-to-face, in-person interactions. That way they can answer, any questions that they may have face-to-face and off of social media. Probably starting to see some signs, Rotarius around town, so would appreciate all the support.
Your postcards were very good too.
Yeah, I had the postcards go out. Yeah, so I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from that. Awesome.
Good luck.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
best
Thank
Good
you
luck.
so much. I
Best of
appreciate
luck.
it. Thank
Best
you,
of luck.
guys.
Anyone else wish to be recognized at this time? No? Okay.
Was there an assessor's report?
No, I've got to get with Mitch.
Okay,
There was no assessor's report.
Okay.
That's that question too.
okay,
It wasn't on, I left it off the agenda because I knew it wasn't one. I
okay.
didn't know
All
if
right.
you'd catch that or not. So I told him, about it, and then we both didn't follow up on it. And so I'll get with
Okay.
him Wednesday when he comes in
Okay.
about starting for
All right,
next
sorry
month.
to interrupt.
He's been really, this month is more or less just finding out where everything is and getting things straightened up. And he really hasn't started a whole lot yet, but he's gonna do well, I'm
Good.
sure. Anyone else wish to be recognized? Not old business. We got fencing on there. We just carry that over. That's the cemetery fencing. We're not ready to do
Hit me.
anything. Well, do anything to do that yet. So
Rick, I talked to Rick a little bit. He said he's talked to neighbors about what to do out there, and they're saying trees. So I'm all for that. So that's,
okay, well,
you know.
we'll leave this on here as old business, and so
Okay,
we don't
that-
forget about
that's
what we
fine.
need to do out there. So, okay, going on to new business, we'll start with our audit presentation. Wes is here from King and King, and he is here to present our year-end audit of June 30th, 2024. So Wes, go ahead.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening. First want to apologize for missing last week.
Last month,
Or
not
last month,
week.
sorry, last month. So it happens. We've all been there, so I apologize. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Wes Messing. I'm a CPA with King and King CPAs. We came out in August and conducted the annual audit for the township as required by the state of Michigan. Overall, the audit process went very well. I want to thank the clerk for her time. Unfortunately, Roberta couldn't be there this year, but thankfully she had everything in good order, so we didn't really have any issues with her department. So overall, everything went well. So thank you for being there to answer our hundreds of questions that we have in a day and let us do our job. So I've provided a brief summary of just the financial aspect of the audit. I handed that out before the meeting, so you can see there's multiple years presented there. Anytime I look at financial information, I want to see multiple years because it lets me kind of see trends, and hopefully by looking at where we've been the last few years and kind of get an idea of where we're headed. So I'll talk through that briefly, and if you have questions, feel free to interrupt. The very first number on there is the fund balance for the general fund as of June 30th, 2024 was about 1.47 million. So for Almont Township, you're sitting at a very healthy fund balance for the township. Our property taxes and the next line below is intergovernmental revenues. That's mainly your state revenue sharing. You can see those are trending upwards over the last 5 years. So that's a good indication for the township as far as the health of the township, our tax base, and what we can hopefully anticipate for the future. Another item of note, our interest in most of the funds is significantly higher this past year. That's really good to see. You can see just in last year alone, it was almost double what it was in the previous 5 years combined. So we're doing a good job of making our money work for us a little bit, get a little bit of money back on our money that we're holding. Expenses overall in the general fund are fairly consistent year to year in that 800 to 850,000 range total. We were within that range this year, and don't see really any big anomalies in comparison to previous years. Overall, in this past fiscal year, you added 165,000 to the fund balance. Any questions on the general fund?
Just as a comment I want to make about that, because our fund balance is large, and we do carry over about $500,000 every year just to tide us from July to December when the tax money comes in, but we're also saving our money because we've got a big paving project coming up, which is about $1 million that we've got to,
Yep.
come up with. So that's
Those are
one of
those
the
are
reasons
certainly
that our
good
fund
items to know.
balance is so high. If the taxpayers see that big fund balance, they'll realize that we save it, and then so we can pay cash for some of our projects we do. Just as a question, and I've been working on this ARPA, and that's down in the grant proceeds, correct?
Yes.
So if I add up those last 22, 23, and 24,
Mhm.
that's what we have spent out of the ARPA funds. And is that stopping in March, or is that going through our fiscal year in June?
That goes through your fiscal year. in
Okay,
June.
so then we would add, because it just, something doesn't look right. Doesn't look like the ARPA report that you do.
No, this is
It's a
different.
little less than what we report on that we had to spend, so.
Yeah, my calculation was as of June 30th, you have about 170,000 of ARPA money left as of June 30th. That has to be, just as a reminder, I'm trying to tell all of ours this, that has to be committed to a specific purpose or project by the end of this calendar year. So by December 31st, you've got to have that money spoken for.
We hope to have it all spent by then. We
And-
spent quite a bit of it already
Yeah.
this fall, so.
You at least have to have it committed to a specific purpose by December 31st, and then you do have an additional 2 years to actually execute the projects and spend it. So if you don't get it actually spent by December 31st, that's okay, but you do have to have it assigned or some way allocated to a specific purpose or
We
project.
don't want to give any of that money back to the federal
No,
government.
nobody
so.
does. Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be foolish.
Any other questions on the general fund before he moves on? Okay, thanks, Wes.
Yes, the fire fund, sitting at a fund balance just under 900,000. You can see that it's kind of had some fluctuation over the years. It dipped a little bit in 2022. We had some large purchases, capital outlay that year. We bought $170,000 worth of air packs and $70,000 worth of turnout gear that year. 900,000, again, kind of like what Paul said for the general fund. 900,000 may seem like a lot for the fire fund. But in the last, I'd say 3 to 5 years since COVID, I have not seen a fire truck purchased for less than about $750,000.
We got
And
one
then-
coming in the spring.
And most likely it's going to be closer to $1 million or 1.2 in that range. So that can go pretty quick. Again, your property tax revenue for the fire fund is showing increases. It's trending upwards as our tax base is strong. Another good year for interest in the fire fund, which makes sense. And our expenses, a little bit high this year, but nothing unusual. Overall, it's kind of in the range of where we've been for the last few years. So I don't see anything alarming there. Our next department, or next fund, the police fund, has a fund balance of about 280, and property tax revenues are stable, and our expenses are consistent, trending upwards a little bit. That's what we pay through to the village for police coverage. Again, 280, that money's got to get you all the way through to the end of the year to get to the next tax collection season. So that's not unreasonably high for where the,
And that we actually
Finances
lowered the
are.
millage.
I noticed it went down a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. It matched what you budgeted, so you guys must have known, which if you were lowering it, you did. So, yeah, so we actually tried to kind of lower kind of what we were adding to that fund balance this year, so that's good. The second page, our building department fund has a fund balance of about 70,000, pretty consistent with where we've been, maybe even a little less. You can see the charges for services there. It had a little bit of a dip in 2024, not uncommon with what we're seeing. Building activities may be slowing down a little bit. Maybe a little apprehension with being an election year, some of that kind of stuff. So no issues there.
Doesn't that also have something to do with the way we pay our inspectors? Because we may have taken the income in 23
Yeah,
and then paid the inspectors in 24.
Exactly.
Without taking more income in.
The ratio of income to expenses doesn't always correlate 1-to-1. So you can see this year, the expenses in that fund were a little higher, even though the revenue was down. The reason for that is most likely because the inspectors are doing inspections this year for permits that were issued in prior years. So even though our current year's permits were down a little bit, our inspectors are still kind of playing catch up for all of those past issued permits. So my anticipation, if next year is the same for revenue, you'd probably see your expenses kind of taper off a little bit next year because this year's revenue was lower. And then lastly, our cemetery fund balance is pretty stable, around 45 to 50,000. Not a significant amount of activity there, just to maintain the Scotch Settlement Cemetery. So, any questions on any of that?
Questions for Wes on anything?
We don't do any investment on the building department fund or the Scotch Settlement Cemetery Fund like we do the others? Because there's no.
The building, if there's interest in there, it's just grouped in with other revenues on that line. It just didn't get split out on this page.
Okay. And yeah, I see the.
And then there is interest for the cemetery fund. So it's
Okay.
most likely, I think it's just buried in there, just being a summary report. It's just not listed out separately. You can see that other revenues was a lot higher than it was the last couple of years. So I'm thinking there's some additional interest in there this year.
It's on my report.
Any other questions for Wes?
I just have one thing on your report here.
Yeah.
There's $250. You were gonna ask it. We've always had this 250 at the 1,000 balance for FDIC.
Yes.
And it shows $250 is not covered. I'm assuming that's petty cash.
My guess is that's penny
That's
cash
kept at the
offhand.
Building
Mhm.
department. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something new? Because we've never had that. We've always been
No.
proud that we could get to zero all the time. And
Yeah.
then this one, when
Yeah, we're trying to.
Roberta about went through the roof when she saw $250. Yeah, but is that something new that with petty cash trying to do it? That
Well,
way
it's
instead of
really
that?
not insured. So there's probably been a year that it's just been lumped in and kind of moved forward. But as we kind of develop a little bit and have different people doing different things, yeah, in all honesty, yeah, it's not insured. So we want to report it the right way. So,
So,
okay.
Anything else for Wes?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys very much.
Appreciate, and this will be on the state website
By the end of the
November.
year, it's due
Yeah.
December 31st. Usually in December, we upload them as a batch for all of our June 30th
And the other
audits.
report, it goes along with,
The F-65, yep, that'll get taken care of, and there's a qualifying statement report.
Okay.
So, yep, that will all be taken care of.
very good.
I want to take a moment and thank Paul for his years of service to the township, right? You're coming to a close.
Yes, I am.
Is this your last meeting or you got one more?
I got one more in November.
One more.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've put in a lot of time to the township and thank you for, even though I don't live in the township, I know what you put into it. I know what it takes to be a supervisor. So thank you for your time and your effort for the township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to our policy revision. With the,
we're
Pardon?
gonna make a motion.
oh yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry. Very good. I always forget that one. Do you want to do that?
I'll make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the township audit ending 6/30/2024.
Support.
Motion support to acknowledge receipt of the township audit ending June 30th, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Now moving on to the policy revision. This is for the assessing department. With the change in our assessor with Mitch coming on, we had to go and make some changes to the times that he's here and so on and so forth. He also made some revision to the veterans exemption. There have been some changes in that as well. So he changed the wording in that as well. But it was just very minor stuff that was there other than the information about Wes and how to get a hold of him and how many days he's here and so on and so forth. There were just 3 sections that we touched there. And that's all chronicled at the end there at the end of the personnel policy. So we would need to approve those modifications.
I move to approve the revisions to policy 9.0, sections 9.1, 0.2, 9.3, and 9.4 as presented.
Support.
Motion and support to approve the revisions to policy 9.0, sections 9.12, 9.3, and 9.4 as presented. Any discussion?
I just had a question on the revision section. That's not inclusive. I mean, it just says update for new assessor. It doesn't call out like 9.3. It doesn't match our, it doesn't match the motion. So it doesn't have section 9.0, 1, 2, and 3. Do we need to change that?
9.0 should not be in there.
Well,
9.0 is the policy, the main policy.
Right, and then 9.3 is not included. It does say update for new assessor, but it doesn't say 9.3, which is where the assessor's information
It
is.
it should say 9.3. So that motion,
It could
that at
just
the end of
match our
there should
motion,
include
really.
9.3 then.
Yeah, it should just match our motion.
I'll update that in the, okay. Yep.
That was all.
All this information is contact information. Is that on the township website?
Yes. Anything else?
I do have one thing on page 27, it's number 6. All year long assessing staff will be available according to the township policy to answer questions, meet with taxpayers, help taxpayers as much as work schedule, time, and abilities will allow. That staffing should be the assessor staff. It's not like us in the general office. We can give them information. You have to be certified to give information, and I have been certified through my other position. And per law, the employee who answers assessing questions, other than basic, you can give them taxable value, whatever's on the report. But if you try to explain something to a taxpayer, that is not your job to do unless you're certified. Take classes to have that.
That's what that says though,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, the assessing staff. So,
Assessing
because that's
staff.
what we had before.
But I'm just saying, it's the assessing his staff.
Yeah.
Not us in the office,
Doesn't say us.
general office,
Okay.
that's all. Just a notification.
Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to our vending and soliciting ordinance. This was, we had it last month and we made some changes to it. And now this is the final draft that's coming to us. And I think that it's going to help out because I understand that we've had some more people. Gary had somebody come to his house the other day too. So I think it'll help once we get this approved and get it in the paper, and then the police can go ahead because they're getting called, but they can't do anything without something like this. So
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 74, vending and soliciting ordinance as presented.
Support.
motion support to approve ordinance number 74, vending and soliciting ordinance as presented. Any discussion?
I just,
Problem,
oh,
no.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Only question I had was on exception, section 6. How do we police that? How do we know it's a high school educational program that they're soliciting for? I don't understand that part.
Well, normally the kids, they like the football team goes out and sells Raider cards and things like that. I mean, that's,
So that's
I mean, if the
part.
parents, if somebody at the house doesn't like it and they call the police, that'll be up to the police to determine that.
Okay.
My,
That's all.
my question was on section 6 also. And I just wanted everybody to note that any kid, any high school thing, any time you guys are going out to sell, like Paul said, Raider cards or any fundraising thing, you guys are still allowed to do
You're
that.
exempt.
You are exempt. Yeah, so if it's a school function, if it's something like that, this ordinance just basically addresses some of the vendors and the soliciting that has been going on and making people very uncomfortable in the township. This will not affect any of our school stuff. So make sure you all, continue to get those Raider cards out. We wouldn't want anybody to not be able to do that. So we want those, right? Yeah, that's all.
Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The next item is the DTE agreement. We've had the request and board chose to put 2 additional streetlights up, one at Evergreen Trail and Huff, and the other one at Dryden Road and Shoemaker Road. And so there's an agreement in there from DTE. It's a total for the 2 lights is $1,377.39. And I'll tell you this, by switching these to the LEDs, we've saved quite a bit of money.
Good.
So I think it's a good move that we made with the
Paul, do we
LEDs.
have a specific criteria by which we go by on authorizing these new lights?
No, we usually, most of them are at paved light or paved streets or roads.
Right.
Now, the one at Evergreen, we had some comments from the folks that live in there,
Okay.
and they're adding, 40 or 50 new homes in there, and that's going to be one of the entrances and that's exits that you come out on, the only one onto Huff Road.
Yeah.
So it is quite dark there, where they came out, so they had that request, and we took a look at that, and we agreed with it, and then we'd had a complaint about Shoemaker Road over at Dryden Road as well. And that's usually how they pop up. We did here before, we did Sand Hill Road, Shoemaker Road, and what's the other one down here east of town too? We did. And so it's just, wherever somebody says something. But almost, Rick and I were looking at the map today, almost all of our corners off paved roads, there's just very few of them that are still not lit up.
Right, correct.
Yeah, they're only the ones off private roads.
You don't do anything with the private roads with that. So if I could get approval to go ahead and sign this agreement, and we can get this thing going, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have some more lights up.
I move to approve the agreement with DTE to add streetlights at Dryden and Shoemaker and the other at Evergreen Trail and Huff Road, and authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement for $1,377.39 on behalf of the township.
Support. We have a motion support to approve the agreement with DTE to add streetlights at Dryden and Shoemaker, and the other one at Evergreen Trail and Huff Road, and authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement for $1,377.39 on behalf of the township. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to the Semify contract. This will be next week, October the 22nd. Ferguson Cemetery will be signing, their board will be signing over to us the cemetery there at the corner of Tub Spring and Kidder Road. To get ahead of the thing, if we could, because we would have to approve it at the November meeting before it really becomes official, because we have to approve and accept it. But I contacted Semify, who has all the 3 other cemeteries. We've got a program. It's on the computer for locating, grave sites and for selling and so on and so forth. And so I contacted them and to see, what it would take. And they put this proposal together. Now, like I said it here, it doesn't have to be done tonight. It'd be nice to get ahead of it. But if you don't feel comfortable tonight, approving this until we actually take possession of the cemetery, then we can hold it off a month. But it's going to take, I think in here he said 3 to 4 months to get it all done. It would be the largest cemetery that we have. It's almost, it's not quite double what we have at the other 3 combined. So there's a lot of grave sites in there. Plus there's, what is it, Randy? Another 2 acres or 3 acres that's outside down on the, which is being farmed right now. So, there's lots of room for more grave sites there. So it will be, it's a little more challenging, some of the other ones that we have done. I've done some work out there on it, and I've also been in touch with with Semify with the owner, Jason, and there's some real differences here. I mean, they're not all headstones, some are footstones, and, trying to find out which way they are go, and also it's a very old cemetery.
What's the date range out there?
I
Do you happen to know?
I don't know.
Okay.
It goes back into the 1800s, I know,
Okay.
so.
Okay. And are they going to be signing over their bank account for that?
Yes, whatever's left.
How much is?
Well, when we started this back in May, I think it was, there was about 10 grand in there.
So it's enough to cover what the cost of,
Yeah, well, they
Bringing
have had
this
expenses this year, but they've also had burials
Okay.
too. So I haven't seen the financials here in the last couple months, so.
okay, but it sounds like it will
There will
cover.
be something there,
Okay.
my guess is.
Okay.
With us taking that over, are we assuming all the contracts, like maintenance contracts and stuff?
No, there are no
Okay.
maintenance contracts. It's on a week-to-week basis or month-to-month basis. So I've already talked to our cemetery sexton, and he's ready and able to take it over at any time.
Yeah, that one was poorly managed in the past.
I think of all of them that we've got, there's the only one more left in our township, and that's Huff Cemetery. And of all the cemeteries, Ferguson's the one we get the most complaints on, and it isn't even anything to do with us. So.
When is that going to be complete? When is it going to come over to us?
Probably, well, if they meet the 22nd and sign that over, then we would accept it on then the 18th of November, and then we'd be good to go. It'd be ours.
I would be fine with moving forward with it.
I would like to wait until we take possession of the cemetery, to be honest. If something goes sideways, it's $7,500. And we're only talking.
It's already, I can't see it going sideways because they've already had their meeting and voted on it. And that was just a formality. They had to put the notice in the paper for 6 consecutive weeks that this was going to happen. So that's it. The board has already said they were going to do it. It just hasn't been official until they had that notice in the paper. So I'm quite confident that it's going to happen. So it's up to the board, though, whichever way you'd like to go.
So we
It
move
just
forward.
delays it if we don't get it in. The records are okay, but some of them are, on the Mylar as you roll it out and so on and so forth. And it's,
How soon would they start working on it if we approve it tonight?
how soon?
How soon will?
Well, once there's a deposit I think we've got to make. So once that happens, then they could start on it by the end of the month, probably.
I feel we should go ahead with it also. Get it going.
And do you have all sorts of communication from their board that this is moving forward? and
Yes, we've got minutes
Okay.
from their last meeting,
That's
that
that's
says
what I
that
thought.
it's going to happen. So, like I say, it was just a formality, and but delayed the whole thing is they have no deed. It's that old. There was no deed.
Okay.
So they've done a brand new survey, and they just got this. I just received this over the weekend. That's the new survey of the cemetery. So it's it's in the process of work happening.
Is there anything in the contract that says if something goes sideways, we can back out of it? I mean, Rick's to acknowledge your
But
concern.
yeah,
is
you just
the-
said there's no deed, so.
Well,
No, we've got a deed. Now it's all
Yeah.
taken care of. That's what took took us so long here. They're looking for half of it down. So my guess is that, if something did go south, that $3,700 might be in jeopardy, but I cannot see that happening at all.
Well, what's the annual service?
$795 a year, and they're not going to increase it any to add this 4th cemetery to it. And that's with all the updates and quarterly, they download it, and it's here again. I'm going to be way out of my realm. It's in the cloud.
Still working on it, right?
It's in the cloud, and they send us backups so that we can put them on our system here. So we've got all the backups here, so. But I'll tell you, since we've started this, it's really, really helped us in locating some of these graves. And we have people call us all the time, looking for Aunt Mary or whatever, and we can put her name in there and it'll tell us which cemetery she's in and so on and so forth. So it's a lot easier than what we did before, because we had all those things on a window shade and everything else. So.
Shades. I am fine with moving forward. You're confident you have, documentation in writing.
Yeah.
We're going to move forward. So I guess
And by
I,
next Wednesday, next Tuesday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, the 22nd, once that happens, it's basically the only way it can go south is if we do it.
right.
Because as of next Tuesday, they'll be done with
Right.
it.
I move to approve the agreement with Semify to add Ferguson Cemetery to our existing program and approve the supervisor to sign on behalf of the township.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the agreement with Semify to add Ferguson Cemetery to our existing program and approve the supervisor to sign on behalf of the township. Any discussion? You got to forgive the spelling there. I spelled Ferguson wrong, but that's any discussion on this? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Moving on to our last item on our new business, the zoning ordinance amendment. The Planning Commission, after a recent house fire here in our township, which was pretty much, people could not live there, and so they needed to do something. And as far as a new dwelling is concerned, and our ordinance really slowed it all up, and the poor folks had to move into a motel for a month or two while we were going through our process. So what the PC has done on this is to make it easier and giving the supervisor, some approvals that he or she can go ahead and, get this thing going so that these folks can have a place to live. So I think it's good, and so it does away with the old temporary dwelling, and we've got a new section. They moved it to a different part of the zoning ordinance and renamed it as well. So I think it is something that's good. I've got Rowe. I talked to them today. They're working on it to update our big manual so that we can put that online so that's all up to date, and then we'll have pages to add to the PC members' books as well. So
I move for the approval of ordinance number 75, amendment of the Almont Township zoning ordinance as presented.
we have a motion of support to approve ordinance number 75, amendment of the Almont Township zoning ordinance as presented. Any discussion?
I have a question on the surety bond. Excuse me. So they have to, in order to get that exemption, they will have to put in a 1%.
Yeah, and that's so they'll make sure,
That gets done.
that
every year.
it's going to get removed. That's the biggest thing, that it removes the temporary home, before they can actually get a certificate of occupancy. They're sort of going to go together. It's.
And what if they don't have the money to put down on that? They've just lost everything in a fire, just asking.
I didn't make this. This is the PC, so it'd be a question for the PC. Were you on there still when they did this, or?
I wasn't at the
You
meeting.
weren't? Okay.
Mr. Swears?
That was before you, Gary, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's exactly the same language as under the ZBA. So it's been there for years. So the only thing that's changed, it moved it from the ZBA to the plan, to the
Supervisor.
Supervisor, that's all it eliminates that lead time to allow that trailer to be put up there in the property. So that's the same language. We didn't change anything in that regard.
Just makes it easier for people if they're in a disaster. Just makes things move along a little quicker. Okay.
Okay, that's all I got.
So were they charged fees for anything out there?
They had to go to the ZBA for
Yeah, they had to go to the
$50.
ZBA, had to pay for that.
Really?
That other one, and it's been there forever, right, Dennis? And
Yeah, the only thing we changed was, authority to approve the temporary.
Right, so they don't have to go to the ZBA, so there won't be any fee involved in that then. But it's, yeah, that's just one more thing and that they shouldn't have to do.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, moving on to our second public comment. Anyone in the audience wish to be recognized at this time? Correspondence. Any? Board discussion.
Question on the cemetery meeting. That's at 9 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
7. What's it?
7 or 6, just a minute.
It's probably 6. There's a bunch of old people on it.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
See?
Anything else, Gary? Randy? Yeah.
Just update on the dugouts. They're gone, stumps ground. There's a meeting out there Wednesday with all the construction people to kind of get them together so everything happens the right way.
Okay. Rick? Nothing? Okay. Then
I move to adjourn.
Support.
we have a motion support to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Scary.
You know, that when we pay that $750,000 for that fire truck, it's gonna. Take care.
You want something signed?
Yeah, yep,
I'd
they're
have done
getting
it
ready
at
to
the
move
beginning
it.
if you'd have walked up here.